Hi, I'm Robin, the Director of Delaware Paranormal Research Group, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about the Long Neck investigation. In particular, the Long Neck investigation had some of the best EVPs that the team has ever collected in its 10 years of investigating. And so I wanted to talk a little bit briefly about the EVPs, and in particular about the female ghost that was supposed to have inhabited the Long Neck house. Scott, the owner of the house, or the owner's boyfriend rather, had seen the Victorian lady many times. He always described her in the same way. She had long hair up in a bun. She had a high collar, with the ruffles, and a long skirt. He always described her in the same way as having very high cheekbones and a very severe face, like a really angry school teacher, he described her. He saw her almost daily, or nightly, I should say, and she always did the same pattern. She would leave the back bedroom to the left and move towards the back bedroom and into the back bedroom to the right. And he described her very carefully as saying that when she went from the one bedroom to the other bedroom, it wasn't like she was walking. Her head wasn't going up and down like you do when you walk, but her head and her body just seemed to stay at the same level, like she was gliding or floating. She never, when he saw her, she never really acknowledged him, but it was almost as if she wanted him to know that she was there. During the investigation, we got several EVPs, and all but one of them appeared to be a female voice. And in two EVPs, I call them companion EVPs because they seemed to go together. They were caught at different times during the night, but they said almost the same thing. And in the first one, there is some indecipherable whispering going on. You can distinctly hear it at the beginning, but it's not clear enough to make out what is being said. And then she goes on to say something like, "in the eye before," which I've never been able to figure out what the "in the eye before" means, but it was distinct enough to make it out. And then she said, "I can't go out again. It's been 3 months." And then in the second EVP, it's almost exactly the same thing. Indescribable whispering, or indistinguishable whispering to begin with, and then "in the eye before, I can't go out again. It's been 3 months in Delaware." So after our investigation, we explained to the homeowner and her boyfriend how to cleanse the property, and we suggested that they do it several times because it might not always work the first time. And they seem to be having some definite problems with the property, so we wanted to make sure that they would be comfortable in their home again. Eventually, it appeared to work. And Scott had only one other interlude with the female ghost. It was a morning when he was getting in his truck to go to work, and he got in the truck and he looked up into the rearview mirror, and there, sitting in the back seat, was the female apparition. High cheekbones, hair in a bun, very stern, perhaps angry expression on her face. He immediately whips around to look into the back seat, and of course she's not there. He turns back around, looks back up into the rear view mirror, and she's not there. and it's the last time that he reported ever having seen her. So one of the things that the homeowner and her boyfriend recalled were marks that appeared all over the house, in the drywall dust because they were doing renovations, in dust in general. They'd be fingerprints, sometimes handprints, sometimes just little drawings that appeared on tabletops, on walls, in wet paint. So while we were there, the first time for the initial walkthrough, Scott had put down powder on a large coffee table that they had in the family room. He had put the powder down and then departed the house. And when we arrived, we walked back in with Scott, and he reacted very violently. There were 2 clear fingerprints in the powder that he had just put down, that he said that had not been there, obviously, when he had put the powder down in the first place. We didn't think a whole lot of it, but while we were there doing the initial walkthrough, we would be moving about the property and talking amongst ourselves. And we had started to notice that we would look down at the coffee table and there would be new marks in the powder. We thought perhaps it was a bug, but we didn't see any insects in the property. Okay, so once again, he put the dust down on the table and came back, and supposedly he's got marks.
I'm going to put this little box down. If anybody wants to play with it, draw some energy from it, let us know you're here. You can touch the box like you did upstairs.
At one point we were standing around the coffee table, getting ready to leave. Actually, it was the end of the walkthrough, and we were talking about dates and times to come back for the investigation, and we all paused at one point and looked down at the coffee table, and as we had been standing there talking, there were new marks that appeared in the powder. Of course, we tried to replicate that at the investigation. We very carefully washed the table when we arrived. We put down a fresh layer of powder and trained a video camera on the table all night long, and of course not one mark appeared in the coffee table. So it remains one of those mysteries that we just couldn't solve when it came to the Long Neck house. At the end of our investigation, I think we had been wearing out our welcome. We were in the other room, most of us, the 2 of our investigators, myself included, and Scott and his girlfriend were in the back bedroom where Scott usually saw the Victorian lady. One of our investigators was doing a final EMF sweep of the family room, and as she's walking around with her EMF detector, we get a very clear voice inviting us to leave.
Did you leave your initials on one of the drawings? Why do you stay in this house? Me walking around.